One of the most crucial components of addiction recovery is accountability. Part of what makes addiction so difficult is the inability to self-regulate. Now, this is especially problematic for those in outpatient recovery or pain management program. And while the facilities require regular urine tests to ensure compliance, frequently the actual tests are not even observed. And this led to an epidemic of falsified samples where patients either use someone else's urine or widely available synthetic urine. The result is a lot of addicts carry right on using undetected, and they get none of the benefits from treatment. The only objective test we have for addiction is the urine screen. Now, recently, I learned about a new solution that virtually eliminates the possibility of faking tests, even in facilities where they are unobserved. This is called Tox Protect, a DNA-verified drug test and lab service that provides 100% sample authenticity. Tox Protect was created by Genotex Labs. Can be used in place of any standard urine drug test. It starts with simple one-time cheek swab to establish the patient's identity. Once submitted, each subsequent screening uses DNA testing to verify that that sample matches the patient. In addition, Tox Protect screens for synthetic urine and irregular values that would indicate dilution or other adulteration. In other words, this pretty much guarantees accountability. I'm excited to see this service being used, and I think it will significantly improve an addict's chances for successful recovery. I'm going to be talking more about Genotex Labs and Tox Protect on future shows. Thankfully, Tox Protect is being used by more and more facilities every day. Be sure to ask for it by name wherever you or your loved one is receiving care. To get more information or share it with your facilities, go to drdrew.com/toxprotect. That is drdrew.com/toxprotect. Hey, this is Dr. Drew, and you were listening to This Life
with Bob Forrest
and Dr. Drew.
Here we are.
Oh my goodness, here we are again, ladies and gentlemen. Gather round, get Granny out of the spare room, get the iPad hooked up to the Bluetooth speaker, because it's another episode of This Life with Dr. Drew and Bob Forrest.
It is indeed. Get a little business get out of the way first. Don't forget to click through on the Hydralyte banner, everybody, and get that special discount there. Also, if you like what we do here, Lawrence Savant and I have a radio show every day at KBC 790. You can get the podcast version of that at kbcradio.com.
She seems so kind.
You met her?
At their birthday party. Have I met her before? Was she in your life before?
Very peripherally, but she's
so kind.
She's very, very smart, and she can be tough too. She's a journalist. She's good. But anyway, she'll take me on. So if you like our radio show, which we're noon to 3 in San Francisco and Los Angeles, KGO and KBC.
Can I just say one thing? She and Jeannie Buss were trying to be so genuine and thoughtful,
yes.
And the whole night was not genuine and thoughtful night.
Yeah, so you can get that on the podcast at drdrew.com. Also, follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Dr. Drew, at Rehab Bob Forrest, at This Life Podcast, at First Lady of Love, and join the email list at drdrew.com. And do also check out the Opium series there. You will, if you want to understand how we got into this mess, we chronicle there in great detail. Let's see. Is there anything I missed here? Everything good with you?
I'm good.
All right, let's bring our guest in. Guest is Carl Higbie. He's got the Carl Higbie podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, and Spotify. Or go to Carl Higbie, Higbie.
He's got a nice office, too. Look at that.
We're looking at it. It's awesome.
My man cave.
News, right. Hard-hitting opinion with most diverse guests. Carl's first book, Battle on the Home Front. He also has had 3 successful businesses, including the current consulting firm Merriman LLC. Do you have another book coming out, Enemies Foreign and Domestic, A SEAL Story? Is that out already?
So that one came out already. I got a third one coming out, but I can't say anything about it yet because we haven't finalized the title.
What years were you a Navy SEAL?
03 to 2012.
Wow, that was up to recent.
Yeah. Are you able to talk about all the stuff you did, or is it still stuff you can't talk about?
Well, I mean, I could tell you, but then I'd have to kill all your listeners.
No, but we could remain alive. That might be okay.
That's cool. You guys are fine. Everyone else has got to go there. No, I tell everybody to go read the books because they're easy. I wrote them. There's no big words. Not a lot of pages. But I could talk about that stuff. I had Rob O'Neill on my podcast the other day. We were talking about how killing changes a person. And
Rob O'Neill is the guy that killed
Obama? Yeah, no, not that guy.
Oh my God, Drew, Freudian slip.
No. Not even Freudian. No. But he's got a great story. I heard him on Stern.
I heard him on something else.
Yeah, it's a great interview. So, and how killing changes people in what sense?
He's not a happy camper about what's going on either.
O'Neill?
Yeah.
Well, let's go back to the what you just said about changing people, because he was very matter of fact when he told about the, dispatching bin Laden. It was just my job. I was just the first guy there, and that was that. And then I went on and made sure he was dead, and then I went on.
Yeah, well, we had him and I have been, we've been in a lot of bars and a lot of places, just being team guys. And one of the things that we always hear, Maxim Magazine did something about this a while back where they checked in. They were like, hey, they went out to all these bars and they were like, what do people say when they're trying to pick up chicks? So they had some really good looking women go around and ask people. And out of like 10,000 people they asked, most of them said they were or black ops, whatever the hell that is.
Wait, hold on a second.
And we're losing Wi-Fi signal.
Say it again. Your Wi-Fi screwed up. Go ahead.
Oh no! So most people in that thing said that they were either SEALs or black ops or something of some sort of variant of special forces. So they all talk about, well, have you ever killed anyone? Well, I can't talk about that. Let me tell you. Let me be the first one to tell you. Anybody who's ever killed anybody does not sensationalize it, but we're not going to say, oh, I can't tell you about it. Yeah. Because look, I've killed a ton of people and I'm happy to talk about it. I just want people to embrace the fact that it's not glamour, glory and video games. It changes you. I mean, it changes you a lot.
In what ways?
So the first time I ever gave someone a dirt nap was 2007 in Baghdad, and we were held up on a street corner. They started shooting at us. We started shooting back at them. And it's as fast as you can process the situation. Right in that moment in time, training kicks in. You're like, okay, I got to return fire faster than they can get me. You kill them, and it doesn't hit you till afterwards. And afterwards, you're like, dude, I just changed the entire course of a family tree.
Right.
I mean, like, everyone's got family out there. You know that if you imagine if you were to just die.
Yeah.
Like how many people that would affect. And when you get back home and you get back to the base, you're on the helo on the way back, you're like, oh, geez, man. You can't even put that in words that you've now just completely altered the course of a significant number of people. Yeah. And it's not like a guts and glory Hollywood sensationalized thing. It's like, man, I did this. And you know what? I did it for, to defend my country, but let's just make sure that we were, I mean, you gotta process it, and it screws a lot of people up, I think. And being a SEAL, I was fortunate enough to have significant training to prepare me mentally and physically for that. But I'll tell you, it's something you don't forget about. You don't go on and brag about it, but you do think about it. And I've based significant decisions in my life about anything from business to anything, rationalizing the fact that at one point or another, I took someone's life, and it makes you live life to the fullest.
Well, it's interesting you tell us about the first one, right? That's the one that stands out for you?
I have two. The first one and another one, which is incredibly unfortunate. It was probably one of the hardest things I had to cope with. And, we were in a pretty bad area of northern Baghdad called Sadr City. And these parents, they sent a kid out with what appeared to be an S-vest, a suicide vest. And, me and this other guy were on this corner, and I'm just like, dude, don't do this, man. Don't, and I'll say, a lot of people make us out to be you headstrong, tough guys, and, all you do is go out there and kill back. It's like, yeah, you know what? Sometimes it's the worst job in the world because, they send this kid out there, and I'm yelling, and the guy on the street corner is yelling with me, and we're trying to get him to stop. And can't be more than 6, 7 years old. Ugh. And we put 2 rounds on the ground. We put 2 rounds up in the air, trying to get him to notice. And the parents are shooing this kid out there. Ugh. And we had to put the kid down. Ugh. And turns out it wasn't even a real S-vest. It was just a wire. Ugh. And you just telling that story, my eyes water up. It's just gut wrenching, man. I mean, it really is. And we talk about this stuff on my podcast too a lot.
So then so ultimately, let's backpedal to the first one. Ultimately, I heard you say, I did it for my country. And to me, is it for country in another sovereign nation that we chose to invade? I mean, I'm not the uber liberal that you think I am, but no, I'm not.
I know you're not. I know.
But
you used to be.
But what is America to you?
So, the thing is, at 24 years old, I think it was 25 years old. I'm sitting over there. I'm like, I'm sent over here. The broad picture is here to fight for my country, the safety of my country. I mean, I was in college. I graduated high school in 2002 and was thinking about going in the military then, talked to recruiters, ended up doing a year and a half of college, was wrestling in college. And as soon as we started putting major boots on the ground, that's when I dropped out and joined.
Right.
And you get the notion that you are there defending your country's interests. Now, in that instance, it is, mano a mano. It's you versus another person.
Right.
And it's, but you're over there and you have to rationalize the whole thing. It's like, yeah, that guy was shooting at me, but why was he, like, it runs through your head. Subsequent ones aren't as bad, but the first time I took a life, was like, this is, I just took this guy's life and I was sent over here by my government, told to, kill bad guys. And yeah, he was shooting at me, but why was he shooting at me? I mean, you kind of second guess yourself, and it's tough to deal with.
That's what I'm saying. So you have to believe in the mission. And here's the thing that's interesting and why it's so topical. We have apparently one or more people in the chain of command of the military and the national security team that are saying they are not following chain of command. They don't believe in the mission. Now, that's insubordination. Yeah. Right? I think it's chicken shit insubordination myself.
Yeah. Oh, we can go there with language? All right, that makes things a lot easier for me.
So what does somebody who's unquestionably defended his country think of that?
I have a real problem with insubordination.
Yeah, I have a real problem with it.
So you're talking about the
this letter to op-ed piece. Yeah. It's bullshit.
Yeah. Dude, I went off on that guy.
You think he's military?
That was actually, to be honest, like my best podcast I ever did. No,
right,
dude.
He's not military.
I've got it narrowed down to two people. I'm not going to say who they are because I have no basis, no evidence, but it's just a
Dan Coates. Let's say it, Dan Coates.
So I have no evidence I have no evidence. So I like to put things forward with evidence, but at the same time, like, you've got a ton of people in that White House that are not on Trump's team, and it downright pisses me off. And I said, loyalty is more important than qualifications right now in this White House, because just about any dummy can pick up most government jobs and get it done. And
I don't even know what job they're doing.
Yeah, I don't like. Look, I was a senior appointee for. I was the face of CNCS, which is Corporation for National Community Service. So I essentially ran that agency in the absence of a CEO because she hadn't been confirmed by the Senate. And I spent more time walking around the damn office finding out who to talk to about, who to turn on, who turns on the heat, or who do I call to get this done? I mean, it's just like unbelievable. So
this is the bureaucracy of Russian Dostoevsky era bullshit. This is ridiculous. This government.
Oh, it's insane. I mean, the government to me has serious problems with efficiency. Like, that's actually my third book harps into that, but my first book does too. And I talk about how, we're in let's take, I don't know, the EPA, for example. The EPA, like every presidential candidate, Republican at least, has said, well, I'm going to cut it, or I'm going to get rid of it, or something like that. And then everyone goes in, like, I mean, you had, even under Trump, you had Scott Pruitt embodied in controversy. You had, before that, didn't they dump like 14,000 gallons of toxic waste into some river in Colorado? I mean, the government is lecturing and fining people. They're also instituting new laws around Congress with an entire enforcement arm against you. That's like, I mean, this is the bureaucracy that we've
This is the bureaucracy that led to the Russian Revolution, isn't it?
Well,
you're the historian. Tell it, because every time there gets to be a bureaucracy like this that makes no sense, and now at the highest halls of government, people can just not follow the chain of command and be insubordinate, and part of the population cheers.
Yeah,
something has to be done.
I agree with you. There's no faith in our institutions, no faith in our systems, no respect for authority, and in terms of the fact that people are fearful to speak their mind, that's creeping totalitarianism. People are literally afraid to tell their opinions, and because of being called whatever.
So I just wondered if that's a disillusioning thing over time, where I was not happy that we weren't going after bin Laden. I don't know how you felt. The day it happened, I knew it was bin Laden. I was kind of obsessed with bin Laden and Middle Eastern policies, right? And when the second plane hit the second building, I was like, that's bin Laden.
Yeah.
So everybody knew who it was. I'm a dumb, junior college drug counselor, and I know who it is. So why were special ops not sent to Tora Bora, find him and kill him? No, at any means, by any means necessary. And instead of this 18-month propaganda weird thing that led to, I have a brother-in-law who's high up in the military, and he's like, right now, he said, the Saudis, that new prince in Saudi Arabia, he's just going to take over. He wants Silicon Valley. You don't want to be in America? Move to Saudi Arabia. I mean, we are showing weakness like never before, and there are people going to take advantage of this. We got them off off the Saudis' back. Yeah. Right.
Well. Yeah, but the other thing too is like there's twofold efforts on the Osama bin Laden thing. Is like one, were they keeping him alive? There were numerous attempts. Now, there's a lot of people out there that don't want to sacrifice political capital or political, or tactical success for political gain. And were they keeping him alive to extend the war effort for other reasons? I don't know. I'm not like a big conspiracy
theory. Were you up in Tora Bora?
No.
So is it this unbelievably unpenetratable area that you can never find anybody? Go up there with about $50 million in cash and a bunch of military. I'll bet you can find him.
Yeah, well, you don't even need $50 million. You need $1 million in cash. But also,
okay, you know what I'm talking about.
But here's the other thing too: is like we're the United States of America. I mean, people are like, "Oh my God, we got to watch out for our civil war or a war with the Russians or North Korea." I was like, "Look, North Korea has a bare bones military compared to what we have. Our aircraft carriers can launch planes like every minute. They can go the speed of an average like Parkway in America. They have 5,000 troops on them, 500 aircraft. They're surrounded by 15 other ships, and we have 11 of those groups. We will stomp anyone. I don't know, like American military might needs to be on full display, and sometimes we need to use it. Like we need to stop being so politically correct. And when you go to war, you fight to win. You don't tiptoe around. Like I was building schools in 2009 under Obama. I was like, I'm a Navy SEAL. I'm not a carpenter.
Right. So where do we go? What's your message? Where do we go? Because I'm confused. I think I come from the left and migrated towards the center. Drew was at the center, and the center left him, and now he's just there.
Yeah, that's right.
And there's so many. I bet you there's 50 million, 75 million of us. Yeah. I want to call it the radical center. Yeah. Like enough of these nonsense fringe groups. The center of this country. I just went to Milwaukee. I just went to New Jersey. I just went to West Virginia. There's great people, and yesterday I was in Milwaukee, and a guy said, I'm so tired of people not listening to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that. So I always have this feeling that good will prevail, but how?
Well, I had on my podcast Sally Cohn. Do you know who she is?
No.
She's a CNN, like she's a lesbian on CNN who I disagree with 95% of the things that say. I had her on. We had a great conversation. We didn't agree on much, but we had a great conversation because people like incivility is so prevalent now. Yeah. If you disagree with someone, it's shout them down. I don't want to have a conversation with you. If you're Republican, you're racist. If you're a liberal, people. It's like it just goes around and around and around. And I want to have I'll debate any person, anytime, anywhere, any forum, any question, any moderator. And
it's the only self-correcting mechanism we have.
But we all need to relate to another. So when you were talking from a completely different world, different mindset of mine of being responsible for the death of somebody else and how that affects you and just how elegantly you put that person has a mother, that person has a father, that person has children. I, in the drug rock and roll world, was around a lot of death that I felt semi-responsible for, and so when you were talking about that, I could relate. Like I know those feelings. Right. Yeah. And I just think we need to help. I don't know. Do you know what I'm saying, though, Drew?
Yeah, I get you. Listen, I get it.
And so I, my idea is that us centrists, that us more logical, reasonable people let's say, and we do have very differing views,
Right.
but we can be civil. Like I always think, my ideal of America at its best is Tip O'Neill and Ronald Reagan. You couldn't be two more polar opposites of what direction they wanted the country in, but they were buddies. They were respectful of each other, right? What happened to that?
I tell you what happened with that. It's, the left was getting their way under Obama for quite some time. And then you had the guy, Donald Trump, who was so starkly, I mean, look, I'm on the Trump train. I'm a MAGA guy. I was there day one. I've been in the administration. The dude could do almost nothing to lose my support. So that said, he came out so starkly different from Obama and started taking a swing at everybody who'd been, quite frankly, getting their way for, politically for 8 years. And now a lot of them have been told that they are owed, that they should have it their way. And it's, racist, bigot, homophobe to think different than them. And that's where the discourse started. Like, look, I've gone and given speeches places. And I always tell people, I'm like, hey, look, let's have this debate. Let's talk about it. Let's be civil. Because if you don't want to be civil, I was in the business of incivility for 9 years, and it's not going to end well for you.
But the uncivil sort of discourse they'll blame on Trump.
Right.
You started it with this.
No, I think it was a big mistake to get Obama out there, but the left doesn't have anybody to talk. Yeah.
No, I kind of feel like having him out there is a good idea.
No, it's just going to cause.
It's good for us.
He's what. If you want to directly say why did Trump happen, it's Obama as to why Trump happened.
Yeah.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know that it. I think more of the post-structuralist movements on college campuses and things becoming the thought police. That's really where it all came from.
Those people weren't bright enough to see that Obama wasn't what he was presenting himself to be.
But I don't think they cared.
No, he's their golden child.
Yeah.
He's their bright beacon on the hill.
But they went ahead and they affected. I'm now talking about the intelligentsia on college campuses. The culture in such a way that it became. This is where it all started. It's where the discourse broke down.
You know how the Republicans get the blame for Trump and they coddle him and they don't stand up to him and whatever. I have a feeling what's going on in college campuses is administrations are coddling these students, monsters.
Absolutely.
And now they've created this monster that's out of control and they can't control it, much like McConnell and Ryan couldn't control Trump. It's this.
You're talking about the faculty or the students?
The faculty can't control the students. The real radical stuff is coming from the students.
Yeah. Well, the faculty's encouraging it.
They create so did not allowing a Supreme Court justice to be put on the what McConnell did under Obama. That was wrong.
Yeah.
Right. So they were the framework of which they didn't expect Donald Trump to walk in and take over. I think they wanted Jeb Bush or somebody they could control. Yeah. Right. Yeah. And I think the administrations of these propaganda machines, these institutions, these colleges, the last 30 years, they've wanted kids that they could control, and now they can't control them. And now they're getting fired and having to resign because they you understand?
Listen,
the woman at Claremont Colleges.
I know, but whenever the guillotines come out, it eats itself.
I'm a victim of it, man.
Yeah, it's the Jacobins, then it's the sans-culottes, and then it's just the way it is in the French Revolution. Everybody gets up on the guillotine. If you start talking about chopping off heads, which is what goes on in the mob discourse on Twitter, which is chop off heads, they need to lose their job, they're out, they need to be destroyed, they need to be just ostracized. Eventually it's coming around to you.
Who are the tough? Here's an interesting thing. Bill Maher did something about Al Franken on Friday. I didn't see it, but I saw it on Twitter.
Isn't that example the guillotine's coming out?
Who are the Teflon people? Obviously Trump is. Trump is Teflon. Is Bill Maher Teflon? Can he say anything?
Not as much, but
he canceled his ABC show. Got canceled. No, not HBO, ABC.
Oh. But you understand who on the left is? So Obama is Teflon.
Probably.
Well, comedians. I mean, like look at what Sarah Silverman gets away with Melissa McCarthy. Like, I mean, look, Michelle Wolf. She was a terrible comedian. That's probably why she got
now
axed.
You said all women. So are women Teflon in this point in history?
No, I don't think so at all.
Dave Chappelle has a really great thing. He says, I can say shit that white comedians can't say.
Yeah.
That's the double standard, right?
Yeah. But I mean, look, here's the thing: is I had to resign from the administration because CNN ran 36 hit pieces on me on their primetime shows. Didn't invite me on once to talk about it, by the way. And they took 2 minutes of my entire life over 4 years of radio shows, disregarded the fact I'm racist, bigot, homophobe. They say. But what they failed to understand is, like, simultaneously I was like sponsoring my Muslim Iraqi interpreter for citizenship. I did mission trips in high school to Central America. Like, I was literally the face for community service for the United States of America. Like, the narratives don't add up, but it's the mob rule. I mean, and I think that's what brought Donald Trump in, is because people were like, I'm so tired of weenie, spineless, worthless politicians. I want someone who's going to go in there, and I want someone's going to shake it up, blow it up, and punch people in the face proverbially.
I think that's right. I think he's right. I think
And
that's
then,
exactly
so
what that was.
but then what after that?
I know.
That's the
I
question.
wonder that too.
Right?
Well, I think it's simultaneous. Like, what he's doing now is, he is literally breaking the SPAC of the system, which is great. I mean, sometimes you got to break it before you fix it.
But this bureaucracy, I feel, is like that character in the Terminator. It will just reconstitute itself as soon as Trump is gone.
It's a metal blob.
It'll just
right. But eventually, like after time during that movie, they shoot it so many times that it starts short circuiting. It's a little weirded out, and then finally they dump in that molten pit. By the way, I own a Harley Davidson solely because of that movie.
Well, you might be alive. You're a lot younger than me and Drew. I don't think we're going to be alive when it starts short circuiting.
No, I think it's already short circuiting, because what you're seeing this rise. Like, I talk to political consultants every day. I run campaigns all over the country right now for people, and I talk to consultants every single day, and they all say, "Oh my God, we're so, like, all inside the Beltway. We're so worried about losing the House. It's going to go to the Democrats and this and that." I'm like, walk 15 miles outside the Beltway, dude, and get someone else's opinion, because one of the guys I know, a great respect for him, great guy, super smart, knows more about politics. He's forgotten more about politics than I'll ever know. But at the same time, I'm like, dude, you're wrong. The American people, you cannot poll the Trump factor. You cannot, people like I know people, like a dozen people that got drunk with them at a bar one night, and they're like, hey man, and these are liberal, de la liberal people. And they'll get drunk at a bar with me, and they'll come, hey man, don't tell anybody this, but I actually voted for Trump.
Wow.
And if their circle of friends,
I can say I didn't vote for him, but Nate, the man behind our board right now, can know that in June of 2016, I said, I kind of want him to get elected. It's going to be the greatest reality show ever.
It's the nuclear option.
Little did you know.
Huh. Yeah.
But there's so many missteps that are going to haunt him. The separating of children, it backfired.
Well, but listen, there's other things too, because I was always a states' rights guy, and now we have the federal government kind of pulling back and allowing states to do their thing. We have states like California running amok.
Oh yeah.
Are you in California, Carl?
No, I'm in the Socialist Republic of Connecticut on the other side.
Well, we have the People's Republic of California here, so it's way worse than Connecticut. I assure you, it's way worse. We spend $75 billion on a train, so-called fast train, that's not fast, from nowhere to nowhere, and it's not going to be built. Period.
That's just awesome. That's just epic.
Yeah.
I mean, we have the same junk in Connecticut. I mean, like, Connecticut is 50 out of 50 in job creation. Our governor, Dan Malloy, who's on his way out, it's an open seat this go around. He is the worst ratings ever of any governor, Republican or Democrat. It's like 18% or something like that. We have 8,000 families, and they tried to ban the AR-15 style rifles. They put a bill like after the Sandy Hook thing that banned them. And if you read the bill in its entirety, not a single thing, and not a single measure in that entire bill would have stopped any aspect of Sandy Hook. I mean, Jesus.
That's all.
Well, that's been gun control. I got off the gun control bandwagon when I started realizing in these opioid overdose death statistics, more people die every year from drug overdoses than from gun violence, suicide, and car accidents combined. Why are we not talking about the opioid epidemic as a crisis with the same urgency and same political expending the kind of energy that we do? And it's simple. The victims of gun violence are innocent, and the drug addicts are not.
Duplicitous, yeah.
And yet we're still losing 72,000 in 2017. 72,000 people don't exist simply because America doesn't have a drug policy.
Yeah, look, my uncle's one of those statistics.
Oh my God, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I mean, it's terrible. And the problem is, that's twofold. One, it's personal irresponsibility, but two, sometimes people get addicted through, whatever, like prescription drugs and things like that.
All the time. That's mostly what we're dealing with. That's mostly
exactly.
is generated by my profession.
Like I've recently gotten involved in like the CBD industry a little bit, but I'm still learning a lot about it. But I think that what doctors have done with this prescription, like, look, I was in the military, like, no matter what happens, like I remember one night I stepped in a hole and pulled my knee, and I was like, ow, it hurts. I'll take a Motrin. They were like, here's a Percocet. Like, okay. Yeah. I get in a helicopter crash and fall 100 feet down. We crash and what they call the hard landing. And I thought my spine was broken. Like, here's a Percocet. So like, you step in a hole, you get in a helicopter crash. They're prescribing the same thing.
Yeah.
Are Percocets generic?
Yeah.
Why didn't you get OxyContin? You're a Navy SEAL, goddammit.
That's the thing is, like, I was like, well, you're going to give me all these meds and then you want me to go sling a gun around within 4 hours from now. So it doesn't sound like a great plan.
Yeah, our use of opiates out of control for 20 years. I've been complaining about it for 20 years. 20 years.
Yeah, and that's what created this epidemic. So so the idea is that somehow there's good going to come. I don't know when. I do like one thing Obama said, don't expect a messiah, though he tried to present himself as a messiah. I found that like kind of strange. But
he literally did.
There is no messiah. Well, you think Trump's a messiah. I mean, everybody's looking for a messiah. There's no messiah.
You think Trump's a wrecking ball.
This thing is us. It's us. We're the messiah. 300 million people. Yeah. Men, women, and children are the Messiah, and we need to start working together in coalition with each other, listening to each other, trying to find some solutions to just identify the problems. I think, Trump, one thing that I was positive about Trump is he constantly talked about protectionism and not being the cops of the world, then gets into office like every other politician. We got to go to South Korea. We got to go to the Middle East. We got to go to Saudi Arabia. We got to do this.
Well, no. But we're not taking. I mean, like we took military action in Syria because we just flattened an airfield. But I mean, like we went to North Korea with the threat of strength, but with peace in mind. It was the Reagan.
Am I stupid to just think North Korea is China's problem? It's Japan's problem.
It is, but South Korea then becomes our problem.
I don't believe that China or Japan are really soliciting us to get involved. We just tell them we're involved. That what I thought Trump would do is say, hey, because he's so crazy about expenditures of money. Like, listen, if you want us to be involved,
I don't mind him being crazy about expenditures of money. Jesus Christ, our government just overspends all the time. Thankfully, I'm glad somebody's crazy about the expenditures.
The biggest expenditure of the Trump era is a military expenditure. You want more military? He said he wasn't going to spend money. Then you got the biggest pork barrel military thing of all time. So,
the big spending bill sucked. But let me tell you, like on this thing, like, look, Trump. Everyone's going to have some problem with Trump. I say Trump's not perfect, but he's perfect for me.
Right.
He is everything I wanted to secede for.
But you have to have a second part. So Trump comes in with the wrecking ball. What is your plan after that? Because this is not going to solve anything.
So the wrecking ball is like, honestly, and I talk about this all the time. Like I have friends who are like, "Oh, Civil War's coming!" Like I got my guns. I'm like, you morons.
You ever met the American public? They're so lazy. They're not going to have a civil war.
Yeah. Well, here's what I was with someone the other day, and I got a lot of blowback from it. But I was like, yo, look, who do you think you're talking to? You have let's call it. There's it's just like the Civil War where you have 10% on either side fighting, and the rest of the people just trying to survive. So let's call it. You have 20 million people who would actually engage in something further than rhetoric if a civil war broke out, the shot heard around the world. And so I talked to him. I was like, look, you talk to 20 million conservative gun owners that are willing to go to war. Most of us are veterans. We have more guns than any other world or military or anything combined. We have 700 trillion rounds of stocked ammunition. The other side can't even figure out which bathroom to use. And like, I don't want my cut. I mean,
there's
at the end
a
of the
third
day,
category. No, but I don't know about that. There's a third category. I've thought about it, and I just think it's never going to happen. But there's a third category. Of course, liberals and do-gooders don't have guns, right? That's a simple argument to make. Who do have guns are criminals.
Yeah.
And so if you start a civil war, you're going to have you're going to have a triangulation of violence in America that you and your guys are not prepared for.
Yeah, but stay with me here. So here's what's going to happen. Let's say, and I actually wrote an op-ed on this a while back. So here's what's going to happen. You bring in your third party. That's fine. So let's say it starts with two. You always have criminals that are, believe in both sides. You're going to have the criminals on one side say, okay, I'm going to lay low for a second, let this happen. The left is going to riot with their Molotov cocktails and their masked faces, and then they're going to go get a latte while protesting capitalism. And then the conservatives, we're largely not going to be an offensive force. Like I know a lot of people that are like,
I know. So what you're going that's exactly what I'm saying.
You're go out and like find people.
But you're setting off urban warfare that your mostly rural population or suburban population is not going to be involved in. So the whole country is going to burn.
So check this out. So what'll happen is
I've listened. You never listened to all the radical right stuff?
No.
Oh, you got to listen to some podcasts.
Oh my god.
Oh, dude. But listen. Here's where it gets interesting.
Drew doesn't want to imagine this.
No.
Here's where it gets really interesting: is you're going to have conservatives fighting mainly defensive postures or holding their ground, and you're going to have the liberal faction with their Molotov cocktails, like business is terrorism. And so what's going to happen is, conservatives respect law enforcement. We respect military. Most of us are law enforcement and military. So when, there's discourse, what happens? Martial law, or the cops are going to crack down, and conservatives are going to stand down. We're going to say, hey, look, we're not fighting cops. I don't care if you get in the middle of this or not. We're not going to fight cops. We're not going to fight military. And then it'll be essentially the military versus the left. And then with conservatives willing to back them up, house, shelter, assist in any way possible.
And you're going to have back where you were. You'll just be right back where you were, and nothing will be accomplished.
Yeah, but what you're going to have is this crackdown. So it's going to drive the extreme left even further left, and then you're going to tamper a lot of the resistance. Like, look, I don't think it's a good thing either way, but I do think we got to go back to the days where it's okay to punch someone in the face sometimes. Honestly.
If it avoids what you guys are talking about. I'm assuming this is some sort of weird fantasy you guys are having.
No, because I don't like censorship, so I started listening. What's the guy that got censored off of Google? Alex Jones. Started listening to some of his stuff, and then when there's links off of his stuff, and I started listening to this civil war is a big conspiracy thing, right? And I just, when I read this one guy's blog, I thought, no, that's not what's going to happen. I live in Los Angeles. I lived in New York for years. I go to Chicago. It's going to be the LA riots with no one to stop it. At least for a month, or at least for 3 weeks.
Oh yeah. I mean, eventually it'll get taken care of. You'll get martial law.
He's scaring you because he's talking about like it's going to happen. I'm just saying, I don't think anything's going to be accomplished by it.
Right. So what are we going to do? What is going to get us out of this?
So honestly, if let's say what gets this is this new courage of a lot of these Antifa protesters that throw a rock or shout in your face or the thing. Like, you go back to 1960, or let's say you go back to 1940s during the war effort. Okay, if you came home and you yelled in a soldier's face, that guy would turn around and punch you in the face, and no cop would arrest him for that.
Right.
Or at least not many.
Right.
Let's honestly sit back for a sec and say, basic human decency. Like, if someone takes a bullhorn and shouts in my face, I always see these protesters that are all violent. So I've literally I've been on TV and said, look, I'll be at Starbucks in this town at this time. Come and talk to me if you have a problem. Nobody ever comes to talk to me. One guy had me sign his book once. But you have to go back to a place where these people need to know that if you shout in someone's face with a bullhorn, you might get punched in the mouth.
But then what does that accomplish?
Everybody kind of relaxes a little bit once they realize, oh, okay, I can't just do whatever I want. I got to get out of my mom's basement and realize that this is reality. And I think that's going to calm everybody down. But right now it's so uptight. Like, if someone gets in my face and I even push them out of my face, I could be charged with assault, and everyone's got an iPhone. And I mean, it's just it's gotten so ridiculous. It's Ben Shapiro, I listened to his podcast, and he said, just be a mensch. I'm paraphrasing there, but he said, just be a good guy. Don't go out and try to piss someone off. And to be honest, The problem is these people are so willingly pissing other people off these Antifa folks that are complete jokes.
Not to play devil's advocate, but it seems like I have to. Walking around with tiki torches and Bermuda pants and chanting Nazi things is not the greatest thing either.
Oh, dude, look, people who espouse those views, like, despite what CNN says about me, like, I hate that stuff. I think that is the dumbest thing in the world. It's not productive. If you want to go chant about white power, I mean, you got a problem.
Well, then I'll tell you a funny thing, because I like this conversation. I hope we can continue at another time. So my son was one of the 1% protesters in Wall Street.
Oh, God.
And he was?
Yeah. And
he camped down there?
Yes.
Did he live in your basement?
Baltimore, right? So listen. So I said, who's your godfather? And he named, like, all of the people you grew up with are the 1%ers. Yeah. What are you talking about? Yeah. So you hate everyone that you grew up loving and who took you on camping trips? And, like, I don't understand this.
What did he say?
He didn't really have an answer. It's just such a mob mentality and such a it's a social environment, and it's girls, and it's like it's a lot of things. But it was just so crazy. And then Drew frighteningly told me I was a 1%er. I don't like that. I don't go with those statistics. What is a 1%er? $250,000 a year?
Something like that, yeah.
That's not true.
It's top 5% for sure.
What?
Top 5% for sure.
Oh, then I'm in the top 5.
Okay. Well, so let me tell you how the Republicans can start working towards this, because I'm a pretty ardent Republican. Is social issues. I mean, the Republicans lost the battle on social issues for whatever reason. We played it wrong. We snatched defeat from the jaws of victory on that one. Look, I say now, you want to be gay, go be gay. Fine. Who cares? It's not going to it doesn't destroy the economy, which is the parties. If you want to have an abortion. I'm not pro-life. I mean, I'm pro-life. I'm not pro-choice. Go have an abortion. Just don't expect me to pay for it. Like, Republicans start doing that and start crossing out. A lot of reasonable liberals will be like, actually, I might be able to find a place in the Republican Party, because there's a ton of people
who was going to do that? George W. until 9/11. W. was going to do both of those things plus immigration, what you said.
Yeah. Well, immigration, look, build the wall and build it as high as you can. I mean, I don't want birds flying over that thing. I mean, I think that you got to rock down on the immigration.
You always go to the Mexican immigrants. It's just like, that's not who America wants. The immigration thing is tech people from India, Pakistan, right? And so this whole thing of like, have you ever seen the movie A Day Without Mexicans?
No.
So watch that just for a second. Los Angeles could not survive.
Wait. So what do you want? What would you like?
What?
Would you like an open border?
No, we need. I agree with W. We need constructive immigration reform.
Yeah.
Right.
And he was leading it until 9/11 happened.
So what would that look like?
And then the whole thing became what it's
I'll tell you what it looks like.
Yeah.
If you get a higher degree in the United States of America at one of our universities, I will staple a green card to that degree.
Yes.
Somebody else said that. Wait a minute. Who else said that?
Right? George W.
Or did you say that on my radio show?
I said it on your radio show.
Okay, I loved that. I've heard that. He said that to me once before, and I loved it.
But where did you originally hear it? That was the Bush policy.
No. This is the Higbie
in
policy.
2000.
Listen carefully what he said. You get a higher degree. You get a BA from an American university. He's going to staple a green card to your diploma.
I know.
And then move you on to naturalization if it's appropriate.
Because I don't want you going back to India, founding a call center, employing 500 of their people. I want you to bring that money to my country.
Yeah, I love that. He said that once. I'm on with that.
Okay, so here's another.
Sign me up.
Here's another thing. I was just in Milwaukee. It's a town that's coming back from I met liberal people, left people, center people, Republicans. I was there. It was the greatest weekend I've had in a long time.
Hang on a second. In Milwaukee?
In Milwaukee.
Well, I was in I just want to point out, I was in North Dakota at the same kind of experience. And isn't it interesting that it's the media
and people inside the Beltway that are making us all feel like we're crazy.
Yeah, but let me tell you what they were saying.
Go ahead.
They're so angry about NAFTA, including who I started calling him, you're my commie friend, because he's way left, but he hates NAFTA.
Yeah.
Because his dad taught him to hate NAFTA, and it's a multi-generational hating of NAFTA in Milwaukee because Bill Beer left and Sprockets left and everything. I said, you know what? The main thing that the unions, the disservice they did was, if you work for a company, you get $136,000 a year from when you retire till you die. If you got rid of that, the jobs would come back. The companies would come back. Because I think that these companies would prefer to be in the United States.
Of course.
Right?
They can't afford it.
It's the pensions. If you could just solve the pensions of the unions and of federal workers, that's why you have 1,500,000 federal workers.
County, too,
I know.
for God's sake.
And so there's a solution that I think is a bipartisan solution. We have to find a way to properly compensate skilled workers where they don't, on top of Social Security, because I don't get a pension. Mm-hmm. That's why I've got to save money and make money and do.
That's right.
And that idea that everybody's entitled to this pension is what doomed the American industries, I think. Does that make any sense to you?
Oh, yeah. I mean, the other thing, too, is with all this controversy going back and forth now is you have to find, look, you're never going to appeal to that 3 or 4% of the left that is just so ardently opposed to Donald Trump. But you have to find the middle ground. And some of those things, like, nobody wants to make concessions anymore. That's the problem.
But at a point where entire parts of the United States are just a corroding wasteland in Detroit, in Pennsylvania, in Ohio, in parts of Milwaukee. There's these huge factories that are just abandoned.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Well, wouldn't we like to have a solution where it created jobs? And then the commie friend of mine said, you know what? Millennials, because we talk about millennials a lot, millennials would prefer to make $5 an hour more than be promised a $136,000 pension 25 years from now.
Yeah, probably.
So there's even a generation that's ripe for this.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, you got to look at what happened, like how those things got there. Like a lot of those, like look at Detroit. It was a manufacturing giant. Times changed. Demographics shifted, but also, like, I got to say, like most of these major cities are liberal utopias run by Democrats for generations, and they're falling apart. I mean, you look at the electoral map. New York Times had this really detailed electoral map that they did. It was great. You look at that, and the rural areas are all red, and the cities are all blue. And it's because of, they've created a false sense of reality within these bubbles of cities that for some reason elitists flock to.
But what is it that makes people not vote in their best interest? The best example, I'll give you 2 examples. Most of the people that voted for Trump in the Rust Belt in West Virginia make less than $45,000 a year. The people who benefited from the 21% capital gains tax are Warren Buffett, Bill Gates, billionaires and 100 millionaires, and they voted for Hillary Clinton. So Americans are notorious for not voting for their best interests. Why is that?
Well, first off, guys like Warren Buffett, it's because they had influence. That's why they voted for her. Second off, when you got guys like Trump out there, he's not a polished PR machine. Oh. He talks like a normal person. But here's the other thing, too.
Hey, listen to me. I know an area that you don't know. Billionaires have known Trump for 40 years. They know how he works. They've quoted to me, that's just Trump being Trump. They know him. They know how to work him. They know how to get what they want from him, and they have for 40 years. So this idea that he's this rebel, no. I correct you on that. I actually know.
Look, I'm from Greenwich, Connecticut, man. Like, I am from the hashtag white privilege.
So you know that they all know Trump.
So, but here's the thing is, like, I know dudes, like, very prominent people that I'm not going to say their names on the show, but they are friends with Trump, and they're like, I wanted to do something for him. I wanted to help him out, and dude just won't listen to me. And I'm like, good. Good. I don't want him to listen.
He listens to transactional things that benefit him and his family. Well, everybody knows that.
But right now, what benefits him is creating a great presidency. That's all he seems interested in. Scaramucci, I've gotten to know. You know,
Right.
that? And he said the exact same thing. He's like, I'm telling you, please just shut up for a minute. Don't have the war with the press. So you can get on with this stuff to make your.
I guarantee if somebody could
Make
get
your
his
legacy.
ear, if you could get his ear and tell him, listen, you are harming your business interests. You need to be more thoughtful about the things you say, because he wants people of privilege to go to his hotels and buy his steaks.
He knows what he's doing. It's not
Yeah, he knows damn well
This
what
is
he's
not
doing.
a business move.
You gotta let Trump be Trump. His policies are there, and they're winning.
Yeah.
And they're winning? I don't think they're winning. We'll see November 8th if they're winning.
Who?
Oh, yeah. Big bet. We keep the House, gain 4 seats in the Senate.
Really? That's your bet?
Oh, yeah. I think we lose maybe 3 to 5 seats in the House.
That is a pretty aggressive.
Yeah. Boy, wow. Well, I can't wait to talk to you on November 10th.
Shall we put money on this?
I think the House stays the same and the flips the Congress. Right.
It flips what?
Okay.
I mean, Senate stays the same.
It'll be 50, 52, 48.
I'm going to say a mixed legislature may not be a bad thing.
You got McCaskill, Manchin, Heitkamp, and a couple others that are really in the hot seat.
I think you'd be surprised at how impactful on suburban Republican women separating children away from their mothers was. I think you're underappreciating that. And we'll leave it at that.
Okay.
We'll see, because then it just gets, it's going to be this, going to be that. I can't wait to see. I don't really care. It doesn't affect my life in any way. But
I mean, my mom's a pretty big, like, earthy, I don't want to say hippie, but she's like earthy and like really soft-hearted person. And she was like, hey, look, at some point you got to think about the fact that they just shouldn't have come here illegally.
Yeah, well, she's not the majority.
Let me do a couple of emails before we kind of.
Yeah. Let's have some emails. Stay on with it.
Isn't it necessary to be at least a little narcissistic for one's own life to feel significant enough to care about stuff like ambition and longevity, above and beyond duty and kindness to ameliorate the suffering of others? So, isn't a little bit of narcissism good?
Well, I found it is for me.
It absolutely is. There's the people that score super low on the narcissistic scale. We worry about some of the stuff,
right?
And there's primary narcissism, which is sort of a primitive thing, but there's sort of a secondary narcissism that is, it's appropriate to be concerned about yourself, and it's what Alexis de Tocqueville. I always think about it as Alexis de Tocqueville's term: self-interest properly understood. Well understood. If it really
That's
is
the French guy.
Yeah, it's like an enlightened self-interest.
That's one of Drew's favorite guys, by the way. If you want to know, you quote him probably more than
because it's such a great. The Frenchman came here in 1822
and wrote a book, observed a culture.
He was supposed to study the penitentiary system.
Really? That's what he came for?
Because they were the model for the world, the penitence system. They were penitentiaries, and they were getting people out and rehabilitated. And he used that as he raised money through the aristocracy in France to come over here and used that as a ruse to come study what the hell is going on over here. And he wrote a book called Democracy in America.
Yeah,
and it's a
it
great
was 1860s,
1820s.
Oh,
but it's a great bird's eye view. He met everybody. He met Andrew Jackson. I mean, he just was in it. And it's this great analysis that prevails. Is
that person fearful they don't have any narcissism, or trying to defend that they have a lot of it?
I think they're hearing me talk about it a lot and worried they might have too much. That's
okay.
So in de Tocqueville, oh crap, I lost my train of thought. He predicted things like America and Russia being the two great superpowers in the 20th century. He predicted that. He had a real problem with slavery. He had a problem with how we were handling North American Indians and Native American Indians, and he just nailed all of it. He just had his clairvoyant. Let's see. Hey, did you guys see that Sonoma lawmaker? There's an email on Rachel Hundley, who had a picture at Burning Man, kind of in a risque outfit. It looked cool, actually, and she got just crushed. She
had to resign?
She's a city council. She's in the race for city council in Sonoma, and she just got a bunch of crap, and I'm supporting her. So what?
It was a little skanky, though.
My wife didn't like it.
Here's the thing about Burning Man. So I went to the third one when it was in Death Valley, right? Mm-hmm. And now, about 3 years ago, I was doing an event with Stacey Mathewson up in Reno, Nevada for the sober dorms, and the airports were crowded, and you couldn't get a rental car, and it was crazy, and it was all these people renting these SUVs to go to Burning Man. They fly in, stay in fancy hotels, drive out in these limousine SUVs.
Like something like $200
It's not Burning Man anymore. It's like Coachella.
It's even more. It's an
artsy.
arts installation.
But the people that used to go there were what you thought, like homeless hacky sack people with Volkswagens and stuff, and now it's like Learjet people flowing into Reno.
What's the best treatment for high-functioning alcoholic in a corporate atmosphere? Prefer coworkers don't know about my treatment.
Take him to the gym.
No, go to AA. Just go to 12-step. Yes, go to the gym, but go to 12-step. Just start going. Raise your hand. It's anonymous.
You know, everybody has a different opinion of that. My friends, and some of them are your close friends, that are the most outspoken, they seem the most comfortable.
What do you mean?
Right? To just say, I went to rehab, I'm sober, I'm happy. Sure. If you had a problem with that, let's talk.
Well, these days people understand it's a medical problem with a medical treatment.
But the medical profession tends to say, don't do that. Don't do that.
Well, it's weird they would, because that's how you rise stigma. There's a guy named Stephen Hinch who wrote a book called The Mark. He wrote a book about his own family's bipolar disorder, and his dad had severe bipolar, and his mother was told by the doctor, don't tell the kids, it will ruin them. Ruin the kids if you tell the kids that your dad has bipolar disorder. What do you think about ketamine infusion therapy for depression?
You talked about that in the last podcast. I want some intravenous ketamine right away if it's helpful.
I'm not sure I'd give it to drug addicts. But here you go for you guys. My question relates to Colin Kaepernick. What, if anything, has he or any of the other kneeling players
Screw that guy.
Well, hold on. He's a nice guy. I've met him. He's actually a good guy.
Kaepernick?
He is a good guy. I'm telling you something. He is.
Can't play quarterback for shit. I don't know why we're talking about him all the time.
Well, I separate what he did from what the other players are doing.
He's not playing because...
Can you get Kaepernick on my radio show, and we'll have it out, and maybe I'll agree with you if he ends up being such a nice guy?
He's a really nice guy.
Well, he went to a military person to ask what to do. I do know that.
Yeah. Yep. That's
the military person told him
what kind of wine to buy my wife, but that doesn't.
Why did the military person tell him that kneeling would be the best thing? Why is that a part of the military?
Not at all, dude. I mean, like honestly, I know a lot of military guys that, given the opportunity, they'd lay him out like a good old fashioned sack.
Well, I don't think acting like eighth graders on the playground is going to solve anything, actually. But punching people and all this kind of stuff, I just find it fascinating.
Sometimes it does. It feels really good sometimes.
He couldn't get a job before the kneeling. Right. He was over in football.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
To make him this icon is strange to me. It's very strange to me, but I do like that Nike's willing to take a
swipe,
because this is a swipe back at what all of us are talking about, which is this mob mentality. Yeah. Now, the mob mentality fueled by a president who wants to talk about football more than he wants to talk about the opioid crisis. I got a real problem with that.
Yeah.
But
although I'm fearful
that mob thing, and Nike said, "Listen, if we take a hit on our stock, we don't care. We believe in this."
No, they care.
Huh?
They
don't care.
They care. They're just willing to take the risk.
You don't think they did a cost analysis of that?
Yeah, I'm sure they did. And they're willing to
and they did it anyway. That's not caring.
I'm more worried about the NFL. I'm worried that those guys.
I think the NFL is over because of concussions. Basketball is going to be the number one sport in America within 10 years.
I didn't even know the season had started. That's how much I love the NFL.
Well, if you saw the first game on Thursday, it was the most boring. And Trump tried to say, it's because of the kneeling. It was so fucking boring, I turned it off. Well, it was 6-3 in the third quarter.
My fear is these guys with these giant salaries, they're going to screw themselves. They really are going to mess that up.
The NFL is
$100-something million.
NFL is on its wane. And that's another thing that NFL kind of thing with Kaepernick, it's just so crazy to me that he's the guy when why didn't the right, if they wanted to make a victim, make it out of a star player that was kneeling in those first 2 years?
Because really he started it. It's his idea, right?
I'm a big sports fan, by the way. I just want to tell you, I was so pissed that they got rid of Alex Smith, who was a great quarterback, to bring this kid in, and he didn't pan out. Alex Smith went to Kansas City, was a great winning quarterback. Now he's gone to Washington, he's going to be a great winning quarterback, but somehow he doesn't meet all the analytics and all the bullshit of football. The guy has like a 76% winning rate, but he can't throw a 70-yard touchdown pass perfectly.
So
Do you know this?
No, I don't. But what's
So
the
Alex Smith was the quarterback of the 49ers.
Yeah, yeah.
Kaepernick was his backup.
Yeah.
They then just decided, because of Kaepernick's abilities to run and gun and get out of the pocket and all that, to replace a winning quarterback. From the moment Kaepernick went in there, they lost.
Yeah.
And then he was out of football in 2 years.
Yeah.
Alex Smith has been winning and winning and winning. And that's
Are you a 49ers fan?
Huh?
You a 49ers fan?
No, I just was this Alex Smith fan. He's a guy that shouldn't be in football. He's beating all odds.
All right, that's cool.
And he's amazing.
All right.
And
Look, I'm a
hero.
Jets fan, and my Jets haven't won ever.
1964.
Mark Sanchez, baby.
Yeah, he was the dream.
One year. They won their first playoff game, right?
All right, you guys, we got to kind of wrap everything
Yeah,
up. We're drifting into the NFL. Carl, tell us again the books.
Books are first one, read the second book first, Enemies, Foreign and Domestic, and then read the second book, Battle on the Home Front.
Okay.
And you can get them on Amazon or whatever. Make sure you go to carlhigbie.com to get my podcast. It's on iTunes. Just type in my name.
Great.
And we talk all kinds of stuff just like this.
I'm amazed that you and Bob agreed on as much things as you did.
We agreed on a lot.
I know. I wasn't sure where this was going to go. So
I'm not the far right extremist that the CNN makes me out to be.
Well, and by the same token,
you don't have to be. They can make me out to be a far right extremist.
That's what I was going to say. But it's interesting to me to watch guys like Bob drift around.
Well, I don't know. He probably doesn't know the history. I went on social media early on in the election. I said I wouldn't vote for Hillary Clinton if she was the last candidate on earth, so I guess I'm not voting. People wanted to kill me.
Yeah.
I'd never seen anything like it. Like, people that like me were mad at me, like, in a really serious way. Yeah. And so Drew and I started to bond over that about 2 years ago.
Yeah, and it's just the being oppressed by the mob is what we were bonding about.
Yeah,
and I
had never had it before.
Well, I wrote a book on narcissism, and I wanted to write a chapter about the French Revolution because I thought that was a direct result of childhood trauma and narcissism, and I wanted to predict also that the guillotines would come out here in this country. Here we are. I never imagined something called social media, but that's where the guillotines are executed or doing their dirty work.
I did want guillotines with the Lehman Brothers thing. I really did.
You wanted people.
Nate and I had a podcast back then. He was a little scared of some of the stuff I was saying. Remember when I said we need a guillotine out in front of Lehman Brothers?
There's a Warren Buffett. There's a Warren Buffett interview out right now about bubbles, and he says that the bubbles all formed on sound propositions. They're all formed on sound propositions, but human nature runs them amok.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a really interesting article. Well, it's about time for athletes, trainers to report for the start of the fall season, but we are still dealing with that extreme heat. So even if you're training indoors, dehydration is a major issue for amateurs and pros. Water, sports drinks, they do not do a great job. I've known this for a long time. That's why I wanted to develop a product. Instead, Hydralyte came along, so I strongly suggest you stay ahead of your hydration with Hydralyte. The best way to stay hydrated is with a proper balance of sodium, glucose, and water, and Hydralyte does this better than anything else I've tried. Everyone here swears by it, my wife, my kids, my patients. I use it if patients need rehydration. It's a way to replete hydration orally. This gets you ahead of the game, and so you can sometimes avoid hospitalization things in my experience. Hydralyte comes in great flavors like orange berry and lemonade, available as a pre-mixed drink, a powder, or my personal preference is these effervescence tablets. You simply drop in a glass of water or a bottle of water. Literally, we don't leave home without these. Compared to sports drinks, Hydralyte delivers up to 4 times the electrolytes with 75% less sugars. Hydralyte solutions are appropriate for all ages, and each bottle or package includes easy-to-follow instructions. This is the best hydration product out there, period, end. You can find Hydralyte at Rite Aid or at hydralyte.com/Dr. Drew, DRDREW. And for a limited time, our listeners can save 30% on Hydralyte. I just sent my daughter over to buy this stuff. She's like, I need Hydralyte. I'm like, go to the website and use the code DRDREW18, DRDREW18 at checkout. That is HYDRALYTE.com, hydralyte.com/DRDREW18. To use that code, get 30% off. You won't need any other hydration products. It's the best.
All right, well, it's been a great, interesting talk. Now I'm going to think the rest of the night about this crap, and I just want to be with my kids.
I'm taking real estate in your mind.
All right, Carl, appreciate you being here.
Thank you so much.
And, good luck with the podcast.
So much, guys.
And we'll talk to you at
bye-bye.
KBC. All right, we'll see you next time.
Appreciate it.
Bye.
All right, that's about it for this episode of This Life. Check us out at KBCB in Lawrence Savon, 790 Midday Live Talk Radio, Monday to Friday. You can also tune in every day live via the magic of the internet at kbc.com. If you miss it, we've made it simple for you to find all the shows at drdrew.com, the Adam and Dr. Drew podcast, the single one I do by myself, the Dr. Drew podcast, This Life, of course, with Bob, Swole Patrol, Mike Cantho, his new health and fitness podcast. You can find us on Twitter at This Life Podcast, at Dr. Drew, Derry W, at Rehab Bob Forrest, and of course, our lovely producer at First Lady of Love. I think I know who that is. If you love this show, please subscribe and tell a friend. We appreciate it when you do. We'd love to hear your feedback as well. Send us a message. Join the email list at drdraw.com, dr.com/contact. You'll also get a weekly email from us on that. While you're at it, at dr.com, please support our sponsors by clicking through the banners. We only advertise products that I can get behind. So thank you for supporting them, those that support us. And thank you for listening. We'll see you next time.